If you want to know how I got to this finished stage, you're going to have to stay watching. But my signal box is now virtually finished. Hello and welcome back to Woodhill Park. I'm continuing to work on my scratch built signal box. Got a bit further forward and got quite a way to go. But I replaced the brickwork at the front with, I think it had English bond, which wasn't right for this signal box. So I think this might be Flemish bond. It's the original bond, the most common bond of brickwork. I've been fabricating the tower. Just finished painting a bit of it just to start the process of getting the colours right and helping me sort of get into the modelling of it really. Finished all the uprights, managed to cobble enough together. I'm still waiting for some so I can use them for door frames and window frames. I'm now working on like a roof that I can start fabricating like the sun shield round it, I think. So I've cut up a size to go on top, but I want to have it so it fits in to the roof. So I'm working on cutting a piece out that fits exactly inside here. Well, that's not a bad fit because I don't want it to be tight. I'm going to stick this on top of this in the right place. Well, I changed my mind yet again. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If things just don't look right, then you change things. And what I did was cut all the uprights around here level with the plinth at the top, and then take this piece off and then get rid of the remaining part of the upright, what was in here, and then had equal height again on all the uprights, allowing me to place it back on, and it being lowered by about, I think about 5mm, because the actual tower looked too tall once I put the roof on. In the picture it's a lot lower. It may even be a little bit lower than this, but it's deceiving because you're working with a different scale and everything starts looking different when you shrink it down. So some things you have to overemphasize, and other things you try and sort of change to make it look right. So it's hard to describe. Sometimes it's better working by eye. You start by measuring everything, scaling it down, but then what looks right is important as well. So I think once I've got the fencing up the front here, if I get a bit of fencing, I'm going to use, I think that possibly will look about right. This is going to be painted black, and I put scores in this shield, as you see, as they are different plates all bolted together in reality, I think, if you look at the design. So I'm now going to go round the outsides after I re-glue this plinth back on and try and get the uprights straight again. Right, I'm going to do that and then I'll be back again with hopefully a stage further. That was a real tricky operation, so I preferred to do it off camera. Ended up getting a little bit stuck to it as well, so I didn't want to be talking and trying to film and modelling. But I've now glued it back and it's now lower. I think that looks a lot better. I just need to add more of the sunshade around the roof. And all the other bits I've got to do as well. Well, I've moved on a bit again, and what I've done is I've been working on putting an interior, put glass in, a bit of false floor in there, so I can lift it out, and I'm starting to think about lighting, so I'm soldering some wires onto some LEDs that I've stuck inside. So been playing about, seeing what looks right. I'm just going to ruggedise the wires that are coming off the solder pads on the lighting strip, as they can easily be torn off with a bit of extra pulling as you're pulling them through. So I just put some Evo stick over them just to give them like a cable restraint, and I've wired them inbound, so when the roof goes on the signal box, the wires don't interfere. In fact, I'll zoom out. So if I put wires down, say this side of the box in a tube, then the wires are inbound and not going to get trapped as I put the lid or the roof on. It's coming together nicely. As I've already shown you the wiring, then maybe this is a bit late, but I was just showing you, well, I can show you the interior that I've been putting in. I have got some figures that are coming that I can paint that might be more apt for going inside the signal box, but for the moment there's just a guy here with a cup of coffee, and he's dressed like as if he was outside on the railway, and maybe he's popped in just to check everything's alright inside the signal box. As the era that I'm modelling, it would be going out of service and would be sort of automated. So this has got a corporate blue, I suppose, carpet or lino flooring, and it just tucks nicely inside the box. And it's a relatively small signal box, so there's not a lot of room for other bits and pieces, but I did get a 3DD that's stuttering for you, a 3D printed kit, and this came with the console which I've got here, but there was other bits and I don't think I'm going to need them, but they could be used in some other building, so they won't get wasted. So as I've said before, this comes off, there's a feed through for the wires and an imaginary sort of hole where there would be a stairs going down. I don't know if I'll add that, it's probably not worth adding that sort of detail. I put the fencing round it, so the safety barrier as such is round the signal box, so if he walks outside to observe the trains from the balcony, there's a safety rail. And I thought, well, how's he going to get out there? So I can't see anything on the actual real signal box. There might be a glass door, I don't know. I don't think there's a stairs up the back to the outside, so I think you sort of go up into the tower and then you come out of the tower onto the balcony. So I put a door in, so there's a door, so that's my answer to it, even though it's not very sort of noticeable what's on the real thing. It could be a glass door, as I said. So it's just a case of putting the roof on, but I need to do some more detailing on the roof, and there's more detailing on this roof, windows to put in it, more sort of fascia board around it, so I'm not going to rush to put it together at the moment. I should probably do the fascia board next. Need to put these things down somewhere safe. Right. Well, I've been adding some more detail, so yet another stage further. I've been adding fascia board along here and lintels over the doors, and I'm going to have sort of a black area there to indicate sort of a dark window above the door, and frames, lintels. These doors don't seem to have frames, but this end does. So doors painted in a Network Southeast colour code, or livery, and signage, and that end is done except for the window. I've got to do these windows next, but yeah, a bit more detailing. I'm thinking of doing some patches on the roof, just where the roof's been patched up, so I'll do something on there to make that look a little bit sort of weathered and scruffy. But yeah, I've painted some little door handles on with a silver paint pen. Yeah, it's all coming together now. I'm now going to have a go at the roof. The roof, I can't really see how it's made up, but there is like the inner roof of the actual building, and this outside is a skirt to keep the sun off the signal box so they can see out. Excuse me. So there's probably a gap between the sun shield and the building with ironwork holding it, but you can't see it, and I'm not going to reflect it, so it's just going to have a solid roof. What I'm going to do is spray this black. Spray this black. I think it's the cold got to my lips. I think they're frozen. It's pretty cold up here at the moment. Anyway, yeah, so I spray it all black, and then I'm going to cut out a square that is going to be sort of, well, another cutout inside it. So I decided to do the roof slightly different to what I said. So I've just put a plinth on top, equal distance all the way around. And what I'm going to do is put these offcuts around the side, just to make it look like fascia. And they're just strips, very thin strips. I think they're about 1 mil of Foamex, and this is 5 mil thick Foamex, about 1.5, 2 mil thick. And when you cut it, you get like a grainy effect on it, which looks quite good as sort of wooden board with distortion and sort of weathered look. So that's what I'm doing. I'm cutting up some strips that are gonna go as fascia on here. Right, I've been digging in my bits and pieces box. That's why it's good to keep bits of junk, really. And an old Hornby housing, sort of plastic moulded extra bits that I didn't need. And I'm looking for this ability to make a chimney, and I think one of these possibly will do the job. And maybe one of those, and then this one turned upside down on top of it, so that there's a hole in the top as such. I think that might do the job. Just need to tidy it up, and it's going to get sort of painted same colour as the roof probably, so I'll lose some of that shininess, but that's going to sit over there, and from what I can see that's roughly what it looks like. Nothing sort of fancy, but just a depiction of either a chimney or a water tower. I'm not sure what Still bloody cold up here. And I'm just going to paint this area in a sort of bitumen colour, just to reflect that it's got a tar paper covering, so it's a flat roof. I just thought of an idea for a bit of interest. Don't know if it's going to work, but the console inside the signal box that I stuck on a base, I'm going to very carefully drill a hole, because the console is hollow inside, and if I can get the LED in the right place, I'm going to have a flashing red LED which you won't see unless I drill some very fine holes. So what I'm going to do is just drill some tiny little holes in the console, so it lets some of the flashing LED light out, and I'm wondering whether that's going to look okay inside the signal box at night. Oh, you can but try, can't you? Well, that's the hole. Now I just need to put an LED in it, and also drill a hole through the floor of the tower of the signal box. I've made a hole for the wire for the LEDs in the bottom of the tower, and I'm just going to drill one very fine hole in this with my finest selection of drills, and then just see if it does light up. From one job to another. Now back onto something electrical again. But I've just tested it and it seems to look quite good, so I'm going to put a red flashing LED, well I think it's flickering actually, inside the console and through the floor of the signal box, well tower anyway. And this should look like the console's got some red flashing lights on it. I just tested it with a blue LED and it seemed to work alright, so I'm going to solder on the resistor, a positive leg of a red diode, and then solder some wires on. Fit this at the bottom. I'm just going to go and test this, and the answer is yes, it does work. So I'm going to glue this in the bottom of this. It's taken a while to dry, but it should dry in the end, and if it doesn't do a good enough job, I shall put some Evo stick around it just to make sure it's solid and the wires are not going to get pulled off as well. I've just tested it again, and I've realised that the light, or the LED, is grinning through a bit, through the plastic and through the paint here. So I'm going to put a strip of black plastic card along the bottom. I don't think that'll make the console look any worse than it is. I think it will just blend in with it, but you won't see any light now. Well, when I'll do it. Right, that should do it. The light won't shine through that, and if it shines through at the back, it doesn't really matter, because it's not going to notice, as you're not going to look at the back of the signal box. Right, I finally put the tower together. It's a case of putting this on the base when I finish the base and mooring it up. I think I've finished everything inside the control box at the moment, or the signal box, control room and tower. I'm probably going to change sort of a staff I put in there. At the moment I've only got one guy in there drinking a cup of coffee, so I will be taking the top of this off every so often, so the roof will be removable, but I've just put 4 spots on each corner of Copydex, which is a very weak glue and very easy to overcome, so it will just hold it on sort of reasonably well until I want to remove it to get into it any time, and I can just replace a little blob of glue again just to hold it on straight, because I did notice it was rising up one side at one point, so I don't know why, but materials are materials. They don't want to go where they want to go unless you hold them in place. Right, I have noticed by studying the photos of the signal box at Broxbourne that there isn't a tarmac path. It's actually paved. At least at the time of my modelling, there would have been paving in front of it and possibly paving going away from it. So I think I'm going to start paving the area. Yeah, I'm going to go and find some paving and get stuck into doing that. God, it's parky up here. I'm going to have a go at using wheels paving. I've used this effectively around the station and I'm quite happy with it. So I'm going to have a go at using it at this, or in this area. It's not going to be very wide, about 10mm wide, and then tapering off down to a path at the end there. Just in case you're interested in what I'm using, I'm just using a sponge, obviously, to put on dark sand by Vallejo and neutral grey. Dark sand first and then a little touch of neutral grey, just to try and make it sort of a dark sort of sandy stone. I'm going to give that a go for the moment. It may not be quite right, might not be what I like, but you have to try these things out. I must admit, I do like painting things with bits of foam. It does speed up painting quite a lot, and you get an even spread of paint. Not always is it a great idea, but for things like this, you just want to get the paint on and not mess around. A bit of foam really helps. Well, it's just about finished. I've got some infrastructure to put in place and stuff to make the points look a bit more realistic. Pico sort of point motor, or the dummy motor, and other bits and pieces I'm going to put in place. But that's just extra detailing around the track, and I'll be adding that at a bit of a later date, or as and when I feel like doing it actually. I might be taking a little break actually. Anyway, there's one more further thing to do, otherwise it's not complete, and that is to plug the tower in. And I'm just going to have to move things because I need to get where the camera is to do it. Right, let's see if I can do it at this angle. Wiring just needs plugging in. Little plug for the lighting. I need to feed all this down inside as I put the tower part, the signal box in place. Making sure not to trap any of the wires. I left the wires long so I can work on it away from the main building should I want to. But I think that's in place. So that's it. That's the final build. But as we always say, it's not finished and never will be, because there's always detail you can add and take away. So I've enjoyed this build, and I hope you've enjoyed the build along with me. I'm very pleased with the results, and I look forward to my next project, which might be not for a while, as I need to be inspired and not burn myself out as well. I think the fencing is going to be temporary for now until I find some better fencing. I mean, it's improvised fencing, but at the signal box at Broxbourne there is some white fencing in front of it, and I think that's been there for years. Quite quite why it's there, I don't know. To stop people rushing out the signal box across the track, I don't know. God, it's windy up here today. As well as doing infrastructure to carry on like the detailing, I also need to provide some sort of crossing point over here at the end of the path for them to cross. Boarding probably, like you would have had, across tracks, and allows them to walk up to the station. But basically, the main build of the signal box is now complete. And as well as making it myself, I think it looks a lot better than the Art Deco one, purely because it's in the same style as the station, the Brutalist style, and keeps the continuity of the station area really. I think the only thing I wasn't too happy with is that I got a bit too much glue and glaze on the windows. I possibly didn't need to use as much in the places I did, but that's easily rectified. I'll just cut another piece of sort of clear plastic up and put it in as and when I feel like it, but I'm not in a desperate hurry to do it. So you probably can see through the window that I've got a couple of flickering lights on the control panel behind the guy drinking his coffee, and I think that's come out quite well. In this light you can see it. Sometimes the camera can't see it if I turn the light off in the loft, so if I turn the light off you may see it or you may not. Actually, that's not too bad. You can just about see the lights flickering over his right shoulder. I think I made 3 holes for the flashing LED to light out of and just give the impression flashing controls on the control panel, just to add some life to the signal box other than just ordinary lighting. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your comments and ideas. I've read all of them, and I've been sort of impressed by the interest from you all, so thanks very much. I'm now going to have a bit of a rest, and I may not be back for a little while with another project, but I'll just be back with an update probably of what I've been doing generally on the layout. So thanks again, and I'll leave you with some trains running to sort of highlight the signal box, I suppose. We'll put some traffic running past it. So cheerio for now, or should I say bye for now.